What is going on, everybody? How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing well. I want to talk to you guys about cybersecurity and the privacy breaches we have been experiencing in the past couple of years. Since technology has progressed and information systems have been expanded into our daily lives, we have found ourselves in a difficult situation. With the advent of the information age, we find our entire personal database on the web. As technology has advanced, so has cybercrime, particularly privacy breaches. With the vast extent of information systems now in place, has given hackers a unique opportunity never seen before. Has never been easier to find, secure, and sell an individual's private data. So taking that into mind, we live in a time right now where everything's online. I mean, you have your social media, you have your tax information, social security information, financial information, and multitude of conglomerates have your personal information in their databases. That's not to say that they're not trying to protect your information, but since the 1900s, we have seen a back and forth between criminals and white hat hackers, or the police, bouncing back and forth for dominance. In the 1900s, it was more hardware based. You were talking about weapons, you were talking about vehicles for quick getaways. Today, we're talking about cybersecurity, the protection of your online presence. In November 2018, Marriott Starwood subsidiary had a massive security breach. Over 500 million customers had their data compromised through the breach of Marriott's reservation systems. Meaning the hackers got addresses, names, credit card information. All of this is either being used for malicious intent or for financial gain. Either way, obviously they have done a lot of damage, because now Marriott's name is tarnished, and that's not including the damage they could cause to each individual. There's other privacy violations that can occur. It can have severe ramifications in industries such as the athletics industry. Should a franchise database be breached, the competition could discover the franchise's next draft picks, plays, or proprietary data. And as we know, a lot of these franchises, take the Cardinals for example, they spend millions of dollars on marketing, on branding themselves. And 90% of it is unseen. It's proprietary. So should this become public, it could have severe ramifications. And that's just not the only security breach we're talking about. In 2013 through 2014, 3 billion users' accounts were hacked on Yahoo, which ultimately ended up, when Yahoo was sold to Verizon, that breach cost Yahoo $400 million, and Verizon ended up acquiring him for $4.48 billion. Here's a funny one. Adult Friend Finder. In October 2016, 412 million accounts were hacked. And we're talking about a situation where a lot of these people's accounts didn't want to be necessarily known for being on a website which has X-rated content. eBay in 2014 had 145 million users compromised. Now, the most shocking one is Equifax was compromised. One of the 3 credit bureaus was hacked. So what does that tell you about some of the biggest corporations keeping your information safe? It's not even with financial institutions such as Equifax, Heartland Payment Systems, JP Morgan Chase even got hacked. Excuse me. In July 29, 2017, 143 million consumers' accounts were compromised, and 209,000 customers had their credit card data exposed. Heartland Payments was hacked in 2008. 134 million credit cards. 2013, Target stores had 110 million people compromised. JP Morgan Chase had 76 million households and 7 million small businesses' information compromised. U.S. Office of Personnel Management, 2012 through 2014, 22 million current and former federal employees. So not even the government's exempt from these breaches of security. So that brings up particular questions to mind. What is the hacker doing with the information? Is it meant for profit or is it meant for malicious intent? You know, usually if someone's violating, hacking a financial institution, you could assume it's probably for financial benefit, financial gain. But here's another question. Should the companies be held liable for the cybersecurity breaches? Considering that they're not the ones who committed the crime. Granted, certain companies have been found to have tried to commit cover-ups, but we're in an age where people like to jump the gun. So before they know the whole extent of the damage, it's understandable that they want to do the research necessary so that they could attack the problem in question. But that brings me to another question. How should the customers be rectified? Say your information is put out publicly. Say it's stolen for financial gain. What should they do to rectify your situation? We're talking about situations that could cause permanent, lifelong damage. And we're talking about situations that is nearly impossible to completely reverse. And here's another question. Should the companies be trusted with your information again? I mean, we're talking about Equifax. I don't know a single individual who voluntarily gives Equifax their data. What about information breaches with the government? We don't have a choice. They have our information, but they could get breached. How are they going to rectify? How are we to tell the government that we don't trust them with our information anymore? That's not something we can do. And this brings up many, many different ethical questions. We could go on all night long thinking about what the ethical ramifications of cybersecurity can be. We're living in a new age, an age where we're needing to redefine legislation. Take, for example, drones. The FAA recently had to pass new legislation, new regulations, new rules as to how this technology was to be approached. All of our previous legislation was completely archaic. We had no idea. Legislators were scrambling to put bills together. And they still are. So the ultimate question is, are the criminals responsible for it? Are these organizations responsible? Should both parties be held liable? Because again, you know, for every weapon you develop to protect yourself, someone's always going to eventually get one step ahead of you. So it's a bouncing back and forth. Can you ever really win? What can we do to prevent these privacy breaches? That's ultimately what it really comes down to.